What's up, dedicated Dragon Ball denizens? I'm Ryan, and we're here for another episode of the Hawks Dragon Ball Nest. This time, I've got my deck from Regionals Day 1, which was Yellow Vegeta. I got a barrier build for the deck. Honestly, didn't do as great as I wanted. I went 2 and 6, but you know what? It was a fun deck, so we're going to demo out what I did, what each card does. We'll go over that, the strategies, strengths, and weaknesses of the deck, and then we'll go through some other cards to consider swapping in. So, let's get into it. And here we have the deck list up on the side. Now, before I get into it, I want to give a special shout out and thanks to Brian Toro, a big commenter and supporter of the channel, aka Don Cooler, however you want to pronounce it, but henceforth shall be known as Don Cooler here. Now, he sent me a alt art of this particular Vegeta, which is like now what, in fact, before I liked the Ultra Vegeta, but once I saw this alt in person, I was like, okay, you know what, this is my favorite art in the game. So thank you for providing that. I'll just kind of preface, this deck does have 2 copies of this in it, so online, I only have 1. Now, I had ordered, because I like to have it just 1 alt in my deck, and then regulars from there. I'm not a max rarity, but guess what? Because I played 2, and I had ordered 1, and Don Cooler sent me an extra one, I was able to play in regionals with both of my copies of this 4-cost Vegeta as the alt. Thank you, Don Cooler. Thank you for supporting the channel, and always commenting and viewing. Very grateful, very grateful. And now let's get into the actual deck, and we'll start with the leader here. Vegeta is a pretty basic leader, as most are, for 15k pre-awakening. When attacking, draw a card, and then at 4, we're going to go ahead and flip him over. And as with pretty much any leader, the fun really starts when we flip the card over and he's awakened, right? So when attacking, draw a card, and then end of turn, switch up to 2 energy that are rested into active mode. So that's what makes this deck a very defensive deck, which is kind of odd when you think about it for Vegeta, but we're not going to get too into that, right? So that really helps us play defense. Those 2 energies are usually going to be for extra cards, although we do have our 5-cost Vegeta in there that also we can use one of those 2 energy on if we so please. Okay, then next we have Bulma. I've got pretty much every card here has 4 copies. I'll mention if there is not. So 4 copies of the Bulma, which is switch this card to rest mode, add up to 1 battle card, add up to 1 card from your life to your hand, then choose another thing. So it's a self-awakener. Then the other abilities, choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards with a cost of 4 or less and switch to rest mode. Not often using this one, but it does come in handy in a pinch. Usually I'm going to go with this one. If you have a rest mode battle card with 3 or more, draw a card. Not bad. So that's a good draw engine in there. Obviously, your opponent is just going to attack at her the next turn, so she's probably gone unless you're crazy enough to like use a time rewound on her, which I am crazy enough to do sometimes. If like a lot of times, if the leader is the one to attack, I might use a time rewound, knowing that it did waste an attack. I can put her back to active, and occasionally, you know what? I'm just going to use that ability again to draw an extra card. It is one that does come in handy, like when we're still trying to search for cards we need. Like if I haven't found my barrier Frieza, and I need to get him out there, I think it's worth using. Yeah, we waste an extra, but we can get that extra right back, and we can draw a card. Not bad. Okay, next up is our other Bulma, 1 cost, 5k power, 5k combo, just like the other. But this one's really nice. Switch this card to rest mode, add up to 1 yellow extra with a cost of 2 or less from your drop to your hand. Again, not bad there. This is going to help us get our extras back, even if, once again, our opponent's just going to take her out the turn after. That's okay. I do find that sometimes my opponent kind of forgets about her and forgets to attack into her if we start getting a pretty wide board. That doesn't happen. That didn't really happen at regionals, but it does happen sometimes online. You know, people are bringing their A game to regionals, so that's why. Okay, then the next couple are just going to be our cantrips. I've got 4 Yamu, and then I've got 4 Hercule. Really want to get some good cantrips. We're not playing any 2-cost cards, so our first 2 turns in an ideal situation are going to be playing out those cantrips. And then this Frieza is another good, I mean, he's good for many reasons. We do see the on play, choose 1 of your opponent's battle cards and switch it to rest mode. So this one's really nice when we don't want to attack into leader and they're just throwing out cantrips the first few turns, we want to, you know, delay their awakening, like especially against like Nameku, or probably against like Evil Buu, Baby, things like that. We're going to want to use this guy so that we can throw him out there and then just use our leader, because we want to attack with leader to draw a card, and then get that. And then late game, he helps us get cards in rest mode so that we can either stun or remove them. All right, now we're getting into the good stuff here. Right, now we've got Majin Buu. So this is our first of our 2 barrier cards that we're going to be using. So obviously barrier can't be chosen by skills of your opponent's cards. So as long as you leave him out there in active mode, there's nothing they can do to remove it. And then though, we've got this. So when KO, discard 1 card from your hand, play this card from your drop in rest mode. So even if he does get KO'd, then we could just discard a card and bring him back. So it's never going to cost us 1 card, in essence, more than 1 card per attack to defend this Majin Buu. So we're going, I went 4, no, I only have 3 of them, my bad. I guess I thought I had 4 of them, but I only have 3. Okay, anyway. Next up, Janemba. So these, I have 2 of these Janemba, and this was like the slot that I messed around with and added and subtracted the most. But I settled on Janemba for a few reasons. It does a few things I want. I did want a Self-Awakener for when I get into that pinch on the turn where my opponent is now kind of has me at 5 life and is starting to build up a big enough board to where they may just be able to like get me really down the next turn, because maybe I've got a lot of extras in hand and I can't use them on defense yet. So that's where Janemba comes into handy, right? Add up to 1 card from your life to your hand. Self-Awakener, get me from 5 to 4. Then switch 1 of your energy to active mode. So in essence, we're playing him for 2. Pretty good there. Now the third thing. Then choose up to 1 battle card in your opponent's battle area and switch it to rest mode. So it's another one that's going to help us rest cards. So he does have that 25k power. So he's kind of a good card that just does a lot. He's kind of like my, what do you call it, Swiss Army knife in the deck that just, like, if I need one thing done, like I want an attacker, but I want an energy back, stuff like that, I can do that. Rest any card, I can do that. So that's what's nice about him. That's why I settled on him. Then, another of our more important cards in the deck is our Goku. On play and when attacking, choose up to 1 of your opponent's rest mode battle cards, and it can't switch to active mode during your opponent's next turn. Can't go wrong. You know, that's a great stunner card. It's one that if my opponent's building their board a little bit too much, or they've got some battle cards I just can't deal with yet that are too strong, we're going to throw down that bad boy Goku. Not bad. And then, of course, I already mentioned that I have 2 of these cards in here. It is more of a situational one in this deck. I find that I'd rather play the Goku or the Frieza most of the time, and we do see a lot of our opponents just aren't playing a ton of 3-cost cards this time. But he does come in handy because he can attack twice, right? Choose 1 of your opponent's rest mode battle cards with a cost of 3 or less and KO it, then switch this card to active mode. Can't go wrong. Can't go wrong. Okay, next up is our second barrier card, Frieza. And I finally pulled my 3rd one on the client. It took me forever. But I'm playing 3 of them in my physical deck as well, or that's what I did at regionals. Don't know if I'll keep it that way. So, of course, he has barrier. And then, when attacking, for 2 energy, choose up to 1 rest mode battle card with a cost of 5 or less, and place it into their drop. So it goes straight to drop. It's not being KO'd, so that kind of gets around some of these. This card can't be KO'd once per turn things like that, right? So that's pretty cool. You know, he's got that. So he's a 30k, 4 cost, 0 combo. So that's what our deck's built around, is getting this guy and Majin Buu out. But we've got a few more cards. Let's talk about them. We've got this 5-cost Vegeta. It's one of my favorite cards. It's a little bit more situational, but that's okay. So permanent opponent's turn, he gets plus 15k power, so that's pretty good. Makes it very challenging to KO through attacking. They are going to use other means to remove this guy, but it's not that easy. End of your turn for 1 energy. Choose up to 2 of your opponent's rest mode battle cards, and they can't switch to active mode during their next turn. So that's pretty good. We can stun 2 with it. As long as this guy's out, it does limit us, if we do use all energy during our turn, to being able to only use 1 extra. So it's kind of why I don't play him a ton, but he's a great option to when, again, if our opponent's board is just getting too crazy. Alright, then just one of these guys. I like two, but I felt like my deck was getting a little bit too full. Honestly, I'm probably going to, in my next iterations, though, switch to just two of the barrier and two of these guys. Because I did find that he's a little bit more useful than I thought. So anyway, permanent. Your opponent's battle cards with 5 or less. I'm sorry, 5 or more. That would be stupid if it was 5 or less. 5 or more are played in rest mode. So that's pretty cool. And then on play, choose up to one of your opponent's rest mode battle cards and KO it. So pretty good there. So this one's just a really good removal card for any, and then it kind of locks them into playing their 6 or more in rest mode. Now, I thought that, I'm like, the 4 cost is more important, especially when I'm going with the barrier, but I honestly think we should be playing 2 of these, and that was probably a mistake for me to go down to just 1. Then, actually, I haven't switched this one. Of course, you could choose any super combo. I actually swapped from Bibidi, and I'm playing Zarbon, kind of a cooler guy, but, you know, you do what you want with your, with your super combos. Time Rewound is one of the other just key cards to this deck, as all of our extras are. Our opponent's turn, activate battle 1, your leader or battle card gets 20k for the battle. Then choose up to one of your battle cards and switch it to active mode. So I would a lot of times use this on my Frieza, the unresting him, so that, hey, if they want to attack into him, sorry, you can. Or I would be using it on like one of my Bulmas. Maybe I'm going to let her attack a second time, or on the one that lets me get my extra. At least force them to remove it by other means than attacking. But that's pretty good, you know, so I got 4 of them. Then we have Death Ball. Got 4 Death Balls in here. Activate battle with your leader or one battle card gets 15k for the battle. Then choose one of your opponent's battle cards with 3 less, switch it to rest mode. So this was the like one time I got my opponents to misplay when they'd forget about Death Ball. If they didn't attack with their 3 cost first, then it would get rested. Or sometimes they have multiple 3 cost cards, and one of them's getting rested with Death Ball. So I really like that. It's a really good card. Really helped take this deck to the next level when I was playing it previously. Finally, one last card. Finally, we have Final Explosion. Choose all of your opponent's battle cards with 3 or less. Switch them to rest mode. Then choose 2 of your opponent's rest mode battle cards with 4 or less and KO them. I'm playing 2 of them. I don't need it super a lot. It's one that I do my best not to charge because of it, but just a great card. I mean, you see this in almost every yellow deck. The strategy for this deck is, as we see with this Frieza that I highlighted up here for a reason, get our barrier cards out. Get barrier cards out, which are going to be your Buu and your Frieza. Keep extras in hand. That's more so like post-awakening. I mean, pre-awakening, the only time I'm really gonna like get rid of them is when obviously if I've got that Bibidi Buu and they're forcing me to discard a few cards and I'm not awakened yet and I know I can get them back from Bulma. The extras are what you want to probably discard in order to make sure that you've got the combo power to survive. Like I've seen, even if they get you to 5 and kind of leave you there and you're not able to awaken, the next turn when they get that double striker out, they very well can get you from 5 to 0 if you've got too many extras in hand. So that's something very important to think about. If you're not awakened, it's okay to discard them. Although, in my opinion, you should never charge any of those extras. I will not do it. Keep extras in hand. And then rest opponent as needed. Really rest and stun as needed is what we should say. When you've got your Frieza, you've got your Janemba to stun. To rest, and then you've got like your 5 cost Vegeta, your 4 cost Goku to stun, and then if you need to rest mode in order to use that ability, make sure that you do it, right? Strengths. It's an extremely defensive deck once we're awakened, and then because of the barrier, it is removal proof. You've got the defense to defend your life, and you've got you're going to be building that board more and more as we go because it's just so hard to remove. And then we've got really good draw power. We've got 8 cantrips, essentially 12 because of our Bulma. Even if you only use it once, I mean, it is a draw 1. So really good on that. Really good draw power. Weaknesses, though, I do notice that because we're focused on these barrier cards, and really if you notice it, aside from we've got that 5 cost Vegeta, and we've got our 1 copy of the 6 cost, it can be really hard to close out games because, yeah, you know, our battle cards aren't really removable. We don't have a lot of attacks. We don't have a lot of power to those attacks, with the Frieza being only a 30k attacker. I had a lot of trouble closing out games. I just could not do it. And then the other weakness on that is that your opponent, because they're not really able to go for your board, they're just going to go for life, which means you only have so much defense. Even with our extras, you know, if they're building that board up too much and we can't remove it, what are we going to do here? We just run out of defense. So I found myself... sure, I could get the games to go on for quite some time. I mean, almost every game like hit time, and I think I went to OT once or twice. I just couldn't win though. I couldn't close them out. You know, they ended up closing out the games where I ran out of defense before them. So that was tough. And it's very susceptible to aggro decks too. If they just want to attack life, you know, they're probably going to win most of the time on those. Some other cards to consider here is the Majin Buu Evil. That's a huge one, and honestly, like my first iteration of the deck, I was playing 4 of them. I liked it a lot better than this one. You know, I kind of switched to barrier last minute, a week before the tournament, and didn't do a ton of testing. I think I did like it. I liked what I saw online with it, but I was playing in gold. So I think that was my biggest issue. I didn't hit platinum. Because I was on the bottom of gold, honestly, because I was doing a lot of testing of decks, and so it worked for me there. But once I got to some real competition, the weaknesses were really exposed of going too far into barrier. This one I just really like a lot more, and I would want to focus on playing this as my 3 cost over that Majin Buu barrier. So honestly, I want to swap back to where I've got 4 of these guys. Just really helps get a huge hand, because that's kind of barrier proof, right? Speaking of barriers, you know, even if my opponent has fewer than 6 in hand, then that's fine. I still get my draw. So I really like just going like full on draw power. Now another one to think about that I less so play is the Bibidi, because you don't get to use its first thing of your leader does not have Majin in it. So you can't play a battle card with 3 or less with Majin, so we can't go Bibidi into Buu. But it's one to think about if you really want to like focus even more on the hand destruction. It would make you have to go this guy first and then the evil Buu and risk getting KO'd. So personally, I wouldn't do it, but I've seen some builds that still play the Bibidi in there. Think about it. This was another one I went back and forth on, and I ended up going with the Janemba. Now, what kind of pushed it over the top was the difference in combo power versus attack. Now, I do notice this deck has, like, no 10k combos. We've got our 1 cost Frieza, and we had our Goku. That's it. Everything else is 5k or less. So it's why I thought, you know what, let's throw in this Frieza. Gives us an option for the 10k, and he does a few things that I want. Number 1 being the Self-Awakening, and the number 2 is resting a battle card. But that 20k power just wasn't doing a ton for me. I did like that we can do that when attacking, but I mean, I'm never really defending this guy, so he was just getting KO'd the next turn. And then, you know, having only 2 of them in there, does that really do a lot for me in terms of combo power? Not really. So I went ahead and just went with Janemba. Now, Bio Broly's one that I haven't tested at all, but I did see some of these yellow Vegetas that did a lot better than me with them in. I think maybe I should consider it because if I really want that draw power on play draw card, then switch 2 of your energy to active mode. The question is what to swap out for him. And one to think about would be our yellow Vegeta, our 5 cost Vegeta. You know, we do have an equal combo power, equal attack power. It's something to think about, but that Vegeta comes in clutch, so we may consider something. But it's this card I do want to try out, so you may see me doing this guy in the future. I don't know, it seems really good if I want to go back to that draw power mode. Okay, now the other one is Dazzling Onslaught. I did try this out when FB05 first dropped, because it's nice to activate battle. Your cards in battle get 25k, then switch one energy to active mode. So you can use this on your turn, which is nice. As I note, I don't really like using my extras on offense, so I would really have this on defense. And it does let me still play 2 extras per turn because of the switch one energy to active mode. But I find myself, number one, not really needing that extra power, and number two, then it limits me to only playing one other extra. So I like the flexibility of being able to go either Death Ball or Time Rewound in any order at any time. So this one means that if I'm going to use Dazzling Onslaught, I better use it first, and then I only have the option of one more extra. So it kind of pigeonholed me a little bit too much, which is why I removed it. And then also another one I see play that I didn't even mention here is the Hell Rakshasha, or however you say it. I just didn't like that card, period. For 2 to rest any card, I like Death Ball, it's only 1 cost. And that's going to do it for this episode of the Hawks Dragon Ball Nest. Once again, shout out to Don Cooler for helping me play 2 alt arts at the regionals of Vegeta, which I now think is my favorite art of the whole series of Dragon Ball Fusion World. If you liked what you saw, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can become part of the Hawks Nest. We're a fearless flock of fabulous folks who love to do what we love. I love competing in these regionals. I love making these crazy decks, whether or not they do good or not. Next year, we'll see if I get some more experience under my belt and can make a non-meta deck that gets up into the top 16 at least. That's my goal. But we'll see. If you're not quite ready to fly yet, that's alright. Just hit that like button. We'll show up in an algorithm near you in the near future. But until then, we'll see you next time.